All right, welcome back to Pints and Punditry. This is the Tap Room Treble, where normally we talk about three big topics of the day, but today we really only want to talk about one, and it's the news. I guess it's breaking recently, broke this afternoon here in the States, that Kobbie Mainoo is planning to reject a contract extension, a major raise and offer from Manchester United, and as is being reported, seek a move abroad, which is a whole different part of this that we're going to talk about. But this is really noteworthy because Kobbie Mainoo is the best product to have been developed by Manchester United in quite some time, and looked as though he was going to be a major part of their future as recently as only a few months ago. I mean, he's an English national who played, starred has started for the national team, played in the Euros, has played. I mean, he's a part of the future of England, of English football, and he's at one of the premier clubs in the Premier League, or at least that's what history would tell you. Except things are not that way anymore, and I think this is so noteworthy because of what it tells you about how far Manchester United have fallen. And this is the latest and probably best example of just how bad things have gotten on the red side of Manchester. For a player of his caliber to reject the club and want to leave. It's one thing if you are a major young English player and you've always wanted to join one of the big English clubs. It could be Manchester United, could be Liverpool, but you're already there. You've come up with Manchester United. You got your debut, at least, with Manchester United, and you're there, and you are openly rejecting their contract offer and choosing to move away. Now, I'm seeing a lot of grief online towards Kobbie Mainoo, and it's amazing how quickly the tides have turned on the young star for the Red Devils. The fans have turned on Kobbie Mainoo. And you were starting to see it a little bit, and very unfairly. And he's been out for about a month now with a muscle injury, but he's been playing up until that, even in Amarim's system, which he may or may not be a great fit in. You can argue, I don't know that he's a guy they would go and seek out, but they have him, and he can do a lot of things, and they do need a double pivot there, one of whom needs to have some offensive capabilities, and he does. He's a versatile player. He's played some central midfield. He's played some holding midfield. In fact, you could argue that his absence over the past month has correlated directly with the real steep decline at Manchester United. They've been struggling under Amarim to begin with, but it's gotten worse while he's been gone, mainly because midfield play is where they are lacking the most. I've said this on Twitter, and if you don't follow us, go ahead and follow us at Pitchside Pub. Hit the subscribe button for me while you're at it. Follow us on Pitchside Pub at everything here on YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. But I've said on Twitter pretty regularly that the thing Manchester United is missing is midfield play. They simply cannot control the midfield. The midfielders don't have legs. Casemiro, done. Has no legs left. Even though he was a great player and still knows where he should be, he's not there. Amarim's system needs runners. It needs guys to make cuts. They don't have it. And that's the priority for them this offseason, and this is going to take an even bigger hit. Now, I understand, or make it take a bigger hit. I understand the importance of the wingbacks in Amarim's system, and that's probably, I would say, the next priority level, but I think having a good dominant box-to-box central midfielder will make everything else play up a little better, and would make an average wingback be a little bit above average, and have have those two number 10s play up a little bit. Rasmus Højlund will get a little better, and it makes everything a little better. And I don't know that I would call Kobbie Mainoo a true box-to-box guy, but he's the best midfielder they have. If you true central midfielder, right? I mean, I don't count Bruno Fernandes, and I think he's more of a pure number 10, even though he's been playing in the pivot. I think that is wildly out of position for him and being done out of necessity, because Amarim has a lot of 10s to choose from, and just needs somebody who can run a little bit in that pivot. But I think having Bruno Fernandes down in that pivot is sort of a waste of his skill set, and is because Kobbie Mainoo has been hurt, to pull this back to the topic here. But the fact that he's rejecting this offer really tells you everything you need to know about Manchester United and where they have fallen. I think this is really telling. And for those who are attacking Kobbie Mainoo here. Let me pull this up. So the offer reportedly was for around £150,000 a week, which, anytime a professional athlete turns down an offer like that, every Joe Schmo in the world goes, oh, you know what I'd give to pay for, to play a sport for that? Well, you're not understanding the business, the sports business world. It's not the same as what you do for a living. Whatever it is you do, this is not the same. And the context matters. So yeah, you think you'd play for £150,000 a week, but what if half, you got 5 or 6 guys on the team, none of whom are as good as you, are still making more money? Look at this wage bill. Casemiro, oh my God. Bruno Fernandes, the one deserving guy on there. Mason Mount, Matthias de Ligt, Harry Maguire, Jadon Sancho. I mean, he's not even on the team anymore, but that's the wage bill. You still see what he's making there. Luke Shaw, Christian Eriksen. I mean, this is the range he's going to be in. Luke Shaw, Christian Eriksen, Mazraoui, that's the range they're going to put him in. Well, he's better than those guys. He knows it. He's better than them. So yeah, massive, pay raise, because you can see he's all the way down at the bottom there, $20,000 a week, which again, every Joe Schmo would kill for, but that's nothing. That's nothing when you're a pro athlete and you've got to pay your agent and you've got to pay, security, and you got to pay all this extra stuff. And you're not making that much money. You're really just not. It's for a career that is never going to last you more than about 12 years anyway. So, I don't blame him for wanting a bigger payday, but it is still surprising to see a player reject Manchester United like this. So I think the reasons for this are twofold, right? You've got a two-prong cause and effect here, right? The raise is not enough. I think if this raise was to put him at the 200,000 level, which puts him above everybody except Mount, Fernandes, and Casemiro. And everybody knows the Casemiro contract is terrible, so you can't even really use that as context. But he wants to be on that Bruno Fernandes level. I don't think he's quite there, but certainly if Mason Mount can make 250, Kobbie Mainoo can justify 200. So if the offer was that, does he stay? I bet he thinks about it longer. I'll bet it's more of a debate. But here's the other thing. This is a byproduct of not being good and of losing that stature. Now, they are losing one specific thing in particular, which is European football. Manchester United will most likely not be playing European football next year unless they go out and win the Europa League, right? If they go out and win the Europa League, then yes, they get a Champions League bid. But it's not looking particularly good for that. I certainly wouldn't count on that if I'm Kobbie Mainoo. So I think we can say with some certainty that they're probably not going to be offering European football to their players next year, which means it's going to be very tough to recruit talent. For all the fans out there that are saying, oh, you got to go out and get this player, you got to go out and get this player. These guys are not Manchester United caliber. Well, they're not the Manchester United caliber of old, but they are the current Manchester United caliber. They are the type of players you get when the best you can, when you can't offer Europe. So you get the second best, and maybe they can get a little bit better than that because they can offer these ridiculous wages, but look what happens when you pay these massive wages. Now when your homegrown players want raises, they want to be at that level. And if Kobbie Mainoo is going to be at Manchester United, he wants his money. He wants to get probably closer to 200,000. I'm speculating. I don't have any access to this, but it's a reasonable assumption to say, well, hey, look, I see what you're paying all these other guys, right? So it's understandable, but you used to be able to just get by on the fact that you were Manchester United, and that was a dream to play there. And this is what happens with extended periods of struggles and constant turnover with coaches and the disaster that they have become. And, maybe a little bit of it's, cutting the broccoli in the cafeteria. I don't know. But it used to be a dream to go play for these big clubs, and that was enough to put them in the driver's seat and go, you'll play for what we tell you to play for, because if you want to be here, that's how this is going to work. And they're not at that level anymore, and that comes from a decade of turmoil, right? When a club can't offer European football for a year or two, they may lose a couple players, right? If United's crosstown rivals City can't offer Champions League football, they may lose some guys towards the end of their career that only want to play in places that can offer that, right? Bernardo Silva and guys like that. But they'll rebound. If it doesn't stagnate, then they are still, a big club, and they're a destination for young kids who have grown up now. I mean, think about young English kids who grew up in that area of England and are only, I mean, Kobbie Mainoo's, 20, right? 21, 20, 21, somewhere in that range. So his formative years from 8 to when he became a professional at 16, who was the dominant team in Manchester? They weren't wearing red, right? So that shifts in the minds of these people. And we know what they've done. We know what the history is there. But for these young kids, the stature of playing at Old Trafford, which they see, they go in, they see, it's kind of a dump. It's kind of run down, needs a lot of work. Glazier family, like, what are you doing, right? So it's not the same. It doesn't have the status that it once held, and it's just not enough to keep you around, and certainly not enough to keep you taking a pay cut. So I think it's a combination of things. I think 150 a week at Manchester United, given what they're paying other guys, is not the same as 150 somewhere else, because you are still in the pecking order of that dressing room, the wage structure. You're not the guy. You're not the guy, and Kobbie Mainoo's ready to be the guy. And then on top of it, Manchester United is just not the destination it once was. And he may be looking at Ruben Amorim's system saying, I don't know if I fit in this system. Or he may be saying, I may fit, I may not. Who knows if he's even going to be the coach in a year. And so I want to go somewhere where I know who the coach is going to be, and I know I'm going to be the man, and I know I'm going to play, and what have you. Now, what's interesting about this report is, as it says, we'll seek a move abroad. Right, so that rules out the Cities and the Chelseas and the Liverpools. Not that any of them have shown any interest, because they probably didn't think that Kobbie Mainoo was the type of guy who's even going to be available. But that rules out going to another club, and some of that might be self-serving. He's an English player. It's one thing to reject your club that you came up in. It's a whole other thing to then go to their rivals. Imagine if he did go to City. Oh my gosh, he'd be the most hated man in Manchester United recent history. And that's a tough list to crack, but he'd get himself up there if he did something like that. So by saying he's willing to go abroad, maybe it lessens the blow, right? Tottenham fans are not all that mad at Harry Kane. If I'm wrong, get in the comment section. But I haven't seen a lot of Harry Kane hate from Spurs fans. They understand, they get it. They were like, "You're never going to win a trophy with us. Go somewhere else." But had he gone to Arsenal, that might have been. That might have been the end of the road for the Harry Kane love, right? And so by going to Germany, by going to Bayern, he saved face in a lot of ways. And all the rest of the English fans are happy to just still say, okay, it's Harry Kane. He's a great guy. We're glad he's on our national team. Kobbie Mainoo is sort of making this same play. Maybe he follows the Jude Bellingham route and goes to Real Madrid. I'm sure he'd have interest in going to Barcelona, but they have no money. So who are the options? Bayern, I guess they could be interested. They may lose Jamal Musiala. They may not get Florian Wirtz. They need some holding help. Obviously, those are attacking guys, and he's more of a deep-lying midfielder, but they're going to need some midfield help. PSG, always a possibility. They have money, they recruit the best talent, and they have a good team right now. So that's a spot he could go. The problem is when you say abroad, there aren't a lot of options. Italy, is he going to get $150,000 a week in Italy somewhere? Not too many clubs in Italy spending that. You'd have to go to your Inter Milans. AC Milan has been pinching pennies a little bit. Juventus, I don't know what they're doing. Napoli, I don't think they've got that kind of money. So I don't know where abroad he thinks he's going. Could this be a Saudi Arabia move? God help us if it is. Oh, I would hate that, to see a young player like John Duran did. To see a young player, in his prime make the move to Saudi Arabia and just completely fall off the map. Would hate to see that. So I hope that's not the move. So who knows how this plays out. But rejecting this move is really, really telling. And I understand it. Why would a young player want to stay at a club that isn't going to play in Europe, has a recent disastrous track record of decision making, doesn't really have the money to build talent around me, and won't pay me like the superstar I believe I am? I get it. So your Kobbie Mainoo hate is misguided. This is the culmination of a decade of mismanagement and poor financial management, and this is sort of it coming home to roost. This is it. This is the chips falling, if you will. And if he really does leave, that'd be a shame. Now, Manchester United needs money, and he has a lot of value, and they could probably sell him for, I don't know, 70 million, something like that. I don't know how many years he has left on his contract. We can look that up while we're sitting here. I don't know how, but he's not a guy. He's a guy who has a lot of value, and so that is going to allow them to really, spread that around, and put that money in a few different places. Let's see. Kobbie Mainoo has years left on contract. He has till 2027. So you got 2 years left for Kobbie Mainoo, which means it's a good time to be selling him, and you could still get a lot of value for him. So let's say they could sell him for $70 million. You could turn that into two $35 to $40 million players and really bolster that roster. So selling one of your most valuable assets is a really good way to get better quickly, because now you can spend some money. But again, you got to be able to attract the players. Are a lot of those $40 million players going to come to Manchester United when you can't offer Europe? They did this past year because at least they had the Europa League, Matthias de Ligt, and you could get guys, but you're losing that cachet. And lastly, don't give me the argument that, well, United didn't really want him because he doesn't fit with Amarin's system. You notice it says rejected a contract offer, right? There was a contract offer. This isn't just him saying, I want out, and United's like, good, we want to get ready anyway. No, they made him an offer. They clearly want to keep him and want to extend him. And by the way, £150,000 a week is a good offer, right? They clearly like him. That is a respectable offer. He's also well within his rights to say, no, not good enough. I'm not going to be the 6th highest paid player on this team. And frankly, I don't blame him. He doesn't want to be the 6th highest paid player on a mid-table team that isn't playing in Europe. You got to admit, that's not particularly appealing. So, I get it. I do not understand the Kobbie Mainoo hate. This seems like some massive revisionist history from United fans. If you are saying, well, good, we didn't want you anyway, and you're not that good, and you're not our caliber, but your caliber is not your caliber, okay? United fans, your caliber is not what it once was. And you guys need to adjust your expectations, because I got to tell you, Kobbie Mainoo leaves. I'm not sure you're replacing him with a player who is as good. And that's not to say he's amazing or the best player out there, but I don't think you are going to be able to replace him with a player who is as good as he is. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about where Manchester United stand today. What do you think? Get in the comments section. If you're watching this after the fact, get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. You can follow us on Twitter. Leave some comments there at Pitchside Pub, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much anywhere where you can put content out. We're there. And make sure you hit that subscribe button for me down below if you don't already follow the channel. Thanks, as always, for joining us here on Pints and Punditry at the Pitchside Pub.